and a member of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, joins us on the news at 10. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Millicent.
How would you describe what Nigeria's economy went through in 2020?
In 2 words, dreadful. 2020 was dreadful, and it was a sluggish decade. It wasn't 2020 alone. Before 2020 and the pandemic, we already had pre-existing conditions in Nigeria. So I think we have to look at it in the context of, one, what happened in 2020 and what happened before then, so that we lack the resilience to withstand the shocks which Chimeze was talking about earlier.
You've called the theme tonight a triage: inflection, reflection, and injection. What do you mean?
Well, the year 2021 will be for reflection. What lessons have we learned from the past? 2, inflection, where you will have a change in the growth trajectory from downward growth to upward growth. And more important, injection of the stimulus. Stimulus by the private sector, stimulus by the public sector, and stimulus by inward diaspora remittances. I think it's important to know that. But before we go into 2021, it's good to take some time out and look at what we call the year 2020. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are the good things? The good things are 8 in all together. That's the good, the bad, and ugly you see there. The 8 points altogether. 1 is that Nigeria is the 31st largest economy in the world, as you can see there. And number 2 is that Nigeria has the largest agricultural output of 84.2 billion in the world, 5th largest agricultural output in the world. 2nd largest producer of yams, roots, and tubers, next to China. The 5th largest producer of cocoa, 250 million tons. And we are the 5th largest producer of vegetables in Nigeria. And apart from that, we are also the 31st largest industrial output country. And look at Lagos is the 17th largest city in the world with 13.5 million people, rough estimates. But what is more interesting, that 4 of the 16 fastest growing cities in the world between the year 2020 and 25, as estimated by the economists today, is that Nnewi, Abuja, Uyo, and Port Harcourt. Nnewi is the 3rd fastest growing city in the world, growing at a rate of 29.6% in terms of population. Abuja is next with 28.4%. Abuja is the 4th largest growing city in the world. Uyo is the 7th largest growing city in the world, 28.3% growth. And Port Harcourt, of course, is the 14th largest, fastest growing city in the world. So look at this. These 4 cities, apart from Abuja, which is in the central, the 4 cities are in the southeast and south of Nigeria. And more than anything else, the 7th highest workers' remittances inflows into the world are from Nigeria, $24.3 billion in the year 2019. Now, what of the bad? The bad things are this. Nigeria has the 13th highest refugees country of origin. That is, the country's 13th largest number of people seeking refugee status in the world are from Nigeria. Secondly, Nigeria is the 21st worst air polluting country in the world. And the 3rd largest rate of deforestation, you can see that, and 15th highest inflation rate in the world, and 18th lowest median age in the world. So whilst the young age is good, but the young unproductive age is nothing. Then we go to the ugly. The ugly is that 16th highest application for asylum by country of origin is from Nigeria. The 9th largest number of households from Nigeria. The Lagos city with the 11th worst infrastructure of Lagos, and 7th highest death rate from poor sanitation from Nigeria. So that's the ugly. But one thing we must know is that healthcare was not the only, COVID was not the only killer. COVID took 1,267 people roughly in Nigeria based on the testing, but malaria took about 97,200, while Lassa fever took about 121, and measles took about 291. So yes, COVID is a problem, but there are other problems as well. So if you're trying to solve the healthcare problem of COVID, you have to solve others. Now, what are the economic indicators? The economic indicators you can see, Mill said, is that compared to our peers, look at Nigeria, GDP minus 3.62, South Africa minus 6, Ghana minus 1. But look at the inflation rate. Nigeria is 14.89, South Africa 3.2, Ghana 9.8, Kenya 5.6, and Ivory Coast 1.7. But I want you to take note of this. Whilst the interest rates in Nigeria were 0.04 for treasury bills, all other countries, they had interest rates that were higher than the rate of inflation. And what did that lead to? You can see that Nigeria's exchange rate dropped by 13%. South Africa's exchange rate appreciated by 22%. Ghana stayed flat about 1.89. And so Kenya, Ivory Coast had a currency that appreciated by 6%. So Nigeria underperformed the rest, basically because inflation is high, unemployment is also high. Now, what do we expect next in 2021? What we should be looking for is this. We forget 2020. There are key things that we need to look at. The projections for the year end of 2021 are as follows. GDP will grow at about 1.5%. Inflation will increase to 16 but come down to 12, which is good. And the exchange rate will hover around anywhere between 400 and 420, maybe getting to 450, but there will be some convergence and appreciation of the currency as the central bank stops the rationing of foreign exchange. The external reserves will decline somewhat, but will be used to support manufacturing and output. The stock market rally, which is more or less a bubble, will kind of ease off. Power output will increase marginally, and unemployment will actually increase. So, what are the game changers? What are the game changers in 2021? 1, African Continental Free Trade Agreement. 2, the ECOWAS Protocol. 3, our changing trade partners will be trading more with Eastern Europe, the European Union, and Southeast Asia. Forex rationing will stop, and political squabbling will start because of the 2023 election. Domestic refining capacity will improve. You will have the Dangote petrochemical and refining capacity being unlocked. The budget will increase because of improved oil pricing. And more than anything else, the central bank might review its current interest rate policy. So where will you be December 2021? Where will you be at this time next year? 1, you will not be using face masks anymore. You most likely would have been vaccinated. You'll be traveling to other African countries without visa restrictions. 40% of the students will be online and virtual learning. You'll be using more of e-commerce and less on brick and mortar. But there are risks. There are risks that we must consider in 2021. There are huge risks. One risk is that the price of oil drop. Yeah?
I beg your pardon. I must ask you, I mean, should we anticipate more shocks in the post-pandemic era? And this is also perhaps bringing you back to your analysis of the good, the bad, and the ugly. We had the partial border closure before the peak of COVID-19, and then the full closure. Did that have any impact on the economy?
Well, it did have an impact. Basically, what it did was to make Nigeria a smuggler's paradise. Because anytime you close things down, people have a way of passing around it. And so they bypassed it. So even when the borders were reopened, you didn't see price of goods come down because the goods were already in the country. And it made unscrupulous custom officers richer and made smugglers, smugglers were smiling all the way to the bank. But like I was saying earlier, there are some risks that we run in 2021. The first risk is that there could be a sharp drop in the price of oil, or even an increase. If there's an increase in the price of oil, definitely we'll see ourselves going back to the old ways. And if there's a sharp drop, we'll have to make some adjustments. There could be insurgency in the Northeast and in the Niger Delta, vandalism. There could be a second or a third wave of infections we do not know. There could be resistance to reforms. But generally speaking, we think, and there could be NSAS and other protests, but generally speaking, the economy is bound to improve in 2021. 2021, by this time next year, you'll be better off than you are this year. And again, like we said, 2020 is a year that we'll prefer to forget than a year we prefer to remember. Thank you very much.
All right, a lot of hopefuls there. Thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10 tonight.
Thank you for having me.